2, 1, go! Welcome to the yeah. To the yeah. To the place where we run into place.
Welcome back, welcome back, coaches. Welcome back to Big Rule of the World. I'm excited. I got a little gear from my new school at Alta Vista, 3-time state champion in football, last one being in 2014. A member of 2 of those state championship teams, a guy out by the name of Juan Thornhill, is a defensive back for Kansas City Chiefs. So that's how I get it to coming in with a little Technina with Red Kingdom. Now, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about North Dakota State and the rise of their football program, and specifically what they do with running A-gap power and the different variations that they've been successful with running power. This all sort of goes with our overview on how we run God's play, which is a power play. First, to start out, just give a little bit of history on North Dakota State. I know some of you all are not as into this as me. I love this type of stuff, guys. I love getting into the history of, like, when this coach came here, when this tweak happens, this tweak happens. And, you know, in preparation for this video, I was listening to the Run the Power podcast. And they had, and I'm killing myself for not remembering the name off the top of my head, the offensive line coach for North Dakota State was on. And he talked about how with each new coordinator, new offensive line coach, something new got added. And it's like their playbook was huge, they said. He said, we can run basically any type of run concept. He had some great tidbits. That's the Run the Power podcast. If you just look up North Dakota State, look up the Run the Power podcast. It is a great episode. I got a lot of tips out of it. Like one of the main tips that I loved hearing him talk about was practicing against fronts that move, fronts that change, and how we throw that in as a new concept instead of maybe preparing against a solitary, you know, defense that stands there with their thumbs up their butt. We're playing around with a moving 4-2. What happens when a safety walks in the box? We're making it so our guys are able to recognize on the go and be there with a moving defense, which is what we're always going to get on Friday night, right? So anyway, back to North Dakota State, sort of their overview of their rise to prominence. So cool things I found in the research: played Division II ball for over 80 seasons before in 2004 when they come into the FCS. Craig Bohl was the coach that brought them into the FCS, and he's now the head coach of Wyoming. They didn't make the FCS playoffs till 2010, but that was only because for a large part they were ineligible. They were actually, when Bohl was there, I'm trying to look at the year 06 and 07, they're still in the top 10 in the nation, but ineligible for the playoffs because of their transition to NCAA. Then was Division I championship subdivision. Now it's just FCS. Or it was the 1AA then, now it's the FCS. Didn't make the FCS playoffs till 2010. They make it in 2010, losing the quarterfinals. By 2011, they start a run where they've won 8 of the last 9 titles. 9 straight conference championships. Okay, prior to that, they were 8-time Division II national championships. So you're talking about a football program with 16 national championships. I'm calling this the most dominant football dynasty there is. So Craig Bohl takes over. Craig Bohl's able to win 3 titles in a row in 11, 12, 13 before he leaves for Wyoming. Even when ineligible, they are still great. Okay, Chris Kleeman would take over, goes 84-6 in his 5 seasons, wins 4 titles. Now Matt Entz is the boss. He went undefeated in his first year, winning a title over James Madison last year. I feel a little sacrilege. Here talking about North Dakota State because I'm a Virginia guy, because James Madison is a big-time football school here, and they seem to be the team keeping James Madison from being the most dominant program in FCS football. But, you know, I'm interested in what I was interested in taking a deep dive in North Dakota State because James Madison has been able to stay on top with a lot more turnover or stay near the top with a lot more turnover. So it was interesting going back to North Dakota State, seeing what makes them sort of tick. If we take a look at Craig Bowl, he was a Nebraska guy. If you take a look at Chris Kleeman, he was a defensive-minded guy from Northern Iowa. Both of them sort of cut their teeth on the defensive sides of the ball, but they bring in guys that run a very similar type of power-heavy offense. They build off of that. They beat their team. They beat other teams down. They play great defense. And, you know, the big thing for me is they're winning when playing in North Dakota. No offense to any coaches that might be in North Dakota, but you don't see kids from Florida. You don't see kids from California, Texas going, I want to go freeze my butt off in Fargo and play for the Bison. Okay? So I think, you know, to see all that is really amazing. Nothing to talk bad about North Dakota. I think that's having the recruiting disadvantages that they have and to be able to do what they've done is absolutely amazing. Now, let's get to the board and draw up what they do. A lot of this stuff, I'm going to tell you. Okay. A lot of this stuff I got. I'm trying to give you the exact resource, just in case you guys want to go back to it, because I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to pull it up for some video here. Okay, let's get to the whiteboard. Go North Dakota State. All right, should be good to go now. My multiple tabs being open are hurting me here. So let's take a look at North Dakota State and what they do as far as the power game goes. If I'm unable to get the video, I am sorry, but let's roll with it. So they run power out of a multitude of formations. We're going to put it in 20 personnel to start. We're going to give a 4-2 look, which I'm not a big fan of, but it's what my resource in the Cover One website gave to start. Now, all right, we're going to get, of course, this kick out here by the H, double down right here by the play side tackle, play side guard, going to backside backer. We're going to cut right here, and then we're having a short, quicker pull. Okay, I usually pull through B gap. This is where they create their A gap power. He's able to fan back right there, and there we go. So we're able to run that power. I like it to the same side of the tailback. Okay. And they can also come through here. Things that I saw that I liked. Let's say we have our slot in here. I'll call him my Y. We can arc release this H or tight end. They'll arc release him. They'll tick him out. And then now we're reading that play side defensive end. And that's where our power read comes into. We can run the power read off the jet sweep. We can run the power read off of just regular tailback play. The arc release to the tight end, just gives him another look instead of kicking out. A great one that I enjoyed that they did. So most of the time when we run power, we're going to run to the 3-tech each side. I say if you're scouting me and I'm running power, I'm running to the 3-tech side on a 4-man front. So in this front, they've also run away from the strength of formation. right there. Okay, now how would you run quarterback power with that? See, they're running that to the 110 each side. They can run to the 110 each side. It says they like to run their quarterback power with the cross fake. We talked about that with our G series video and talked about different adaptations. In our second video, we talked about the power. Another fun example they had here is just, and it goes back. It goes back to what we talked about, guys. 3 rules of running power. You got to have that kick out, you got to have that double team, and you got to have that lead through. All right, so let's say we'll run to 3 techniques side here. I pause so I can get a better marker. A little bit better marker here, guys. So let's put the 3 technique here. I'm going to say you're going to have to run a 4-3 minimum against this. He had all this stuff drawn against 4-2. I didn't really like very much. But now you're still having that double team. You're still going backside backer. You can fan block back here. Down block, down block, down block. So you're creating that wave of down blocks. I'm going to kick with my H. My F can go through and now have that A-gap pull or have that on that linebacker for our power play. So, it's all the creativity, guys. I also showed you in an earlier video. I thought this was damn creative, where they had the Y motion over and the tight end motion over. And now, here we go. It really should be going here. If we bend back right there, he's going to motion over kick, power. Here we go. So they did stuff like that where we're just sort of playing around with who our guys are going to be. Who's going to be our kick guy? Who's going to be our lead through guy? Who's going to be at the double team at the point of attack? And you can play around with that, guys, with different calls and tags. You don't have to put in a specific play because I think this is cool. I've said all this time, keep things simple for the linemen. I think you're still keeping it simple for the linemen. They have the same basic responsibilities, everybody. Just different types of plays. You could have the guard kick. You could have the H-back kick. You could have the guard wrap. It doesn't matter. I think that's what North Dakota State's done. They become creative with what they do, and I find it fascinating. I don't think you're going to find a program more successful in Division I football than North Dakota State. So they went up front. Their offensive line coach talked about they develop, guys through being there for 4 years and knowing what to do. And I think you can do the same in your high school program. You just got to put an emphasis on that offensive line and really emphasizing to them, this is what our bread and butter is about. Have a little attitude, have a little swag like our previous video series talked about. If you love this content, guys, hit subscribe. We're constantly talking about offensive line play because we know offensive line play is the way we win games. It's the way we score points. We got to dominate in the trenches. If you want to dominate in the trenches, you got to know that bigs rule the world. We'll see you next time, coaches. Stay tuned for our next episode of Bigs Rule the World. I'm Coach Allen. See you guys.